am Jenna Vosonko, and this is QTV News coming to you live from our studios along Caraba Avenue. Thanks for joining us. And here are the main local business, sports and international news headlines. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, International Cooperation and Gambians Abroad has issued a statement that 11 Gambians, including 6 children, have died in the fire that broke out in Bronx, New York on Sunday. The construction of roads ahead of the 2022 OIC summit will commence according to the project contractors. The Gambia Teachers Union on Tuesday updated the public of the findings on the implications of the new pay and grading structure on teachers and education sector personnel. A Gambian writer, Momodu Ash Amusaf Sow, on Friday launched his first book titled Don't Judge the Book by the Cover. In business news, a 24-year-old young entrepreneur has advised young people to learn skill whether they are educated or not. In international news, Uganda ended the world's longest COVID-enforced school closure on Monday, ordering millions of students back to the classroom nearly 2 years after learning was suspended. And in sports news, we hear from Scorpion fans as the Gambia is set to play their first ever game at the AFCON on Wednesday against Mauritania. Those were the main headlines, and now the news in detail. Do stay with us. Welcome back from that short commercial break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV Midday News, and I am Jenna Bosonko. Now let's start with sad news, as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, International Cooperation and Gambians Abroad is deeply saddened to inform the general public that 11 Gambians, including 6 children, have died in the fire that broke in Bronx, New York on Sunday, 8 January 2022. Latest information from the permanent representative in New York and ambassador in Washington indicate that others are still missing, but efforts are underway to locate them. Both the permanent mission and the embassy in Washington are working with the authorities in the city of New York with a view to locating survivors and assisting the injured. They have also been in touch with the families concerned. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, on behalf of the Gambia government, sends its heartfelt condolences to the grieving families for the tragic loss. The ministry prays for God's infinite mercy and forgiveness on the departed souls. The public will be regularly updated as we get more information. And on to another sad news again. On the 7th of January, we ran a story about ANANA, a 33-year-old woman in need of urgent treatment that might have to be done overseas after being diagnosed with kidney failure and other related conditions. We had calls from people offering to help Anna. Unfortunately, Anna passed away yesterday. Her family has asked us to thank all those who came forward to offer help. May her soul rest in perfect peace. Now let's take a look at what is happening at the OIC, as the construction of roads ahead of the 2022 OIC summit will commence according to the project contractors. Our Babukar C was taken on a project site visit by the Gambia Secretariat, and this is his report.
The lead road in the project is the Airport Baton Haring Highway. According to one of the contractors, Areske, work will begin here after Nawek and Gamtel have removed their cables and streetlights and feeder roads created to allow vehicle passage. The other contractor, Pavifort, says that their project is an advanced stage and their campsites have been erected and they are ready to kickstart work. At one of the campsites in Beaufort, Joseph Raymond Sunday, the project manager of Pavifort, has this to say.
We are yet to hit the ground on the road, but most of the preparatory works are ongoing. As you see, the entire campsite, everything is getting on for the real work to commence. In actual effect, most of the real works to be done on the road are already started here, like the form works, the steel works are all ongoing at a very high speed, high rate. So it's just a matter of getting onto the road and gets the work done.
Mr. Sandy assured us that immediately work begins, it will flow and Gambians can expect quality roads.
As a professional engineer, we have arbitrations you face if should anything go wrong. So the standards that were given to us by the consultant and the client to execute are exactly what we have to execute. That's even why I say we are still waiting for approvals to hit the ground, because we don't want to bypass any of the standards, because at the end of the day, this is Africa, this is us, and we need to transform the mindset of people that except Europeans come and do it. We can do it, and we've been doing it, and we're ready to prove that.
At the campsite, we found 35 Gambian women engaged in skills work ranging from steel and iron bending to construction, and some of them in supervisory roles. Suranjai works in steel and iron bending, a male-dominated field. Here, she shares her experience with us.
Musol ka fuko 50-50. So nte ajelo ku kanyindo ku ke amanke ko ke da masa kenu. Musol fanan sa kenu. Wala tinang
Women say 50-50, and to me, I believe that not only men can do this work, but women can as well. At the beginning, it was a bit demanding and hectic, but as time went on, we all got used to it. I don't regret doing this job, and I want to advise young people, especially women, to take up skilled work, as it will help them to not only sustain themselves, but also make them feel responsible and independent.
From the campsite, we headed to the asphalt site where all the machines are in place waiting for work to begin. Mfali Fadera, the head of brand and communication at the OIC, describes the preliminary work done by the construction company encouraging.
You have seen for yourself, and I'm sure the viewers have seen, work has progressed significantly. And as a secretariat, as a government, we are really excited with the progress registered so far. I think this is a huge mark of seriousness on the side of the contractors and all the stakeholders involved, including the government of the Gambia. So we are really excited that things are moving and moving at a very, very good pace.
Mr. Fadera further emphasized the importance of taking time to do the work right, since the roads, when completed, will be here for generations.
As far as the OIC and the Gambia government is concerned, although these projects came in the name of the OIC, we see these projects beyond OIC. They are transformational in nature. They are here to serve you and I for the unforeseeable future.
Pavi Ford and their Gambian partners, Gambisara, says they have hired 181 people so far, out of which 35 females are working in various fields, and that Gambian youths constitute 98% of this project's labor force. Babu Karsi, QTV News.
Now, the Gambia Teachers Union on Tuesday held a press conference to inform the public of the feedback of the union's findings on the implications of the new pay and grading structure on teachers and education sector personnel. Omar Pijalo attended this event and he files on this report.
A December press release by the Personal Management Office PMO set out plans for the implementation of an approved new pay and grading structure as part of government's anticipation Civil Service Reforms Program 2018 to 2027. In response, teachers took to social media to draw the union's attention to what they say are some disparities in the purported final report of the job evaluation for pay and grading for civil service. This was triggered by an initial analysis shared on social media, which found teachers and education officials were disadvantaged compared to their counterparts in other public sector jobs. Isa So, the Deputy General Secretary of GTU, reveals that when the leadership of the GTU received numerous comments on their WhatsApp pages and 2 petitions directed to the National Executive Committee of GTU from Teachers for Change and No to Teachers Exploitations, they reviewed the comments and the petitions against the purported final report of the job evaluation for pay and grading for civil service and engaged the PMO, and these are their findings.
The Gambia Teachers Union found out that there are 4 pay scale options developed in the report. Option D has a starting salary of $36,000 per annum with 11 grades plus standard increment of 5% within and between grades 1 to 5 and 3% between grades 6 to 11. We have confirmed that option D is the version approved by Cabinet.
So further reveals that all the analysts they saw were comparisons for the proposed new grading structure for teachers against the current scales of other sectors, which he described as misleading, adding that according to the generic pay and grading implementation plan for ministries, the PMO is yet to meet MOPSI for their final input to review the suitability or otherwise to address their own needs and circumstances.
Work is in progress, and as such, the draft grading structure for the teaching cadre is subject to MOPSI's input, but as it stands, there is a relative value added in consideration of the teaching job.
Babukar Ojouf is the general manager of the Gambia Teachers Union Cooperative Credit Union, also commented.
The union has a procedure. That procedure begins with engagement. We'll engage with government. We do not start with a strike. We start with engaging. We point to them and say, look, this can lead to that. And those discussions will end at some point. If we feel that this is not going anywhere, that is when we start considering other options.
Officials used the opportunity to reassure their members and the public that the union will continue to fulfill its moral obligation and duty to the profession and call on members to desist from circulating unconfirmed information regarding issues affecting them and instead direct all their enquiries to the union. Teachers are also advised to continue with their normal duties while the union engages with MOPSI to ensure the required data is provided to the PMO. Reporting for QTV News, I am Omar P. Jallo.
Writer Momodu Lamin H. Amusa Sow on Friday launched his first book titled Don't Judge the Book by the Cover. Now, the launching at Ibunjang Theatre included an international conference and the unveiling of the Award of Excellence for African Literature won by Mr. Sow in Atlanta, USA for his contribution to African literature. More in this report by Ajibuntu Drame.
The book launching was attended by several dignitaries, including members of the International Association of African Authors and Scholars. The 10,000-word book is less than 50 pages long and centers on the theme childhood and education in African societies, African traditions, and poverty, among other values. The author talks about the inspiration behind this story.
I was sent out of the classroom by my literature teacher because I couldn't afford the book, Great Expectations, written by Charles Dickens. I sat down quietly inside the school garden. I said, look, why are Africans, especially Gambians, not using our own books? If this was a Gambian book, I can easily afford it anywhere. I told myself I'm going to write a book, but it was just a joke, so I wasn't even serious about it.
According to Mr. Sow, he started writing this book as a teenager and completed it in 6 months. And in 2006, he published it. He advised the young generation to inculcate the habit of reading.
The most epic chapter here was something that was really happening when I was young, baby dumping. There was a time in the Gambia, every Johnson you go, you see a curtain or a piece of cloth, something is wrapped in there, or even a plastic bag. And unfortunately, it would be a baby. So I said, I owe my country a lot. I needed to write something about it. So I felt like to write the book as an advocacy tool to advocate, for those kind of things that were really affecting our society.
Speakers urged the young to read and support Gambian writers. Yankuba Dabo, the Commissioner General of the Gambia Revenue Authority, and Dr. Wale Okidero, the Executive Director, Pan-African Writers Association, had this to say.
What I consider very comprehensive accounts of the operation of the apex regulatory weaknesses of the Gambian Literature Society. This is particularly an important development.
For someone like me to leave my medical practice alone and come into writing would show you that really there is a lot to gain from writing.
The luncheon also featured stage performances by young poets and drama troupes on themes of corruption in Africa, unity and culture. Hasum Sise, the Director General of the National Center for Arts and Culture, gives a review of the book.
The writer also uses rich language and imagery and metaphor. His language is simple, which is why this book is really suited even for junior readers. The title of the book itself is a metaphor for Fatu's hidden talent. The cover of the book may look dull, but the text is engaging.
Some Gambian artists and poets also received certificates of recognition for their work. The event ended with the presentation of Award of Excellence for African Literature by the International Association of African Authors and Scholars to Momodu Lamin H. Amusa Sow, who said that the award was dedicated to Gambians. His first novel, The Throne of the Ghost, has been translated into several languages and collected awards including the IAAS African Literature Award 2021, the World Writers Association 2020 Award, and the National Reading Hero 2019 Award. Ajibintu Drame, QTV News.
Well, congratulations to Mr. So on that award and the launching of Don't Judge the Book by the Cover. Now from that, we will go for a short commercial break, and when we return, we have some business, sports and international news stories. Do stay tuned.
Looking for the fastest and easiest way to receive money transfers from abroad? Well, QMoney and RIA just made it happen. Now you can receive international money transfer from RIA directly into your QMoney account with no additional cost. Once you receive an SMS alert about your transfer, walk into any QMoney agent across the country to receive your payment for free, or use the money immediately to buy credit, QPower and other QMoney services. It's fast, safe and convenient. For more info, call customer care on 133. QMoney, Sunu Calpe. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back from that short break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV Midday News, and I'm Jena Bosonko. Now on to business news. A 24-year-old young entrepreneur has advised young people to learn skill whether they're educated or not. In another of our reports highlighting young entrepreneurs, Alaji Job, a tailor, was speaking to Fatu C. Sanyang at his workshop in Backwater. Here's the report.
Being skillful gives one a tremendous advantage in life. Tailoring is the act of designing, cutting, fitting and finishing clothes to fit a particular person's unique body shape or for other purposes. Alaji Job, widely known as Alas, ventured into tailoring to earn a living. Job tells us how it all started in 2013 after the completion of his Arabic school Dara in Senegal.
Yes. I
was a very stubborn child. My dad died at a very early age, so I knew my responsibility at an early age. Before he died, he took me to an Arabic school known as Dara. When I came back from Senegal, I told my brother I wanted to learn tailoring skills. He asked me about continuing my education, but I told him that I wanted to learn skills. That is how I joined him. There were 4 apprentices. He told me what the business is like, and I understand. And now, here we are.
Alas, for the advisors youths to learn skills to empower themselves and their families.
Yes, why ponkalam jomba am sikin am lem nga wara tok di campe ko am hel sa du def lolu.
Alas, for the advisors youths to learn skills to empower themselves and their families.
If you do nothing and say that my brother is abroad, we all have relatives abroad, but a grown man sitting and idling, that should not be that way. If you believe in yourself, you should work and sweat. Some of my boys will come here and ask whether I never get tired, but this is my job, and you must take me like that.
Mr. Job also explains what inspires him to take up a skill in tailoring.
I'm suma bena sister bu bande san gañu na nekon footballer. I
almost gave up learning skills, but I met a good sister who went through the back way. She was a footballer and was the one who said I should not give up. She motivated me, and I stood my ground and didn't give up. Now I have my own shop and I'm working with 4 people.
According to Alaji Job, things sometimes take time to happen in life. Determination, passion and hard work yield success, he said. Alas spent 5 years learning tailoring skills, enduring sleepless nights, now enjoying the fruit of his labor. He urges every young person to learn skills. He concluded by saying, "We can make it here in the Gambia." For QTV News, I am Fatu C. Sanyang.
That story by Fatu C. Sanyang. Now we will take a look at news beyond our borders. As Uganda ended the world's longest COVID-19 enforced school closure on Monday, ordering millions of students back to the classroom, nearly 2 years after learning was suspended. More in this report.
Some 15 million pupils have not attended school in Uganda since March 2020, when classrooms were shut as COVID-19 swept the world. Education Minister John Mayingo said all schools have implemented guidelines and standard operating procedures to ensure the safe return of children to schools. All students would automatically resume classes a year above where they left off. Muyinga warned that any private schools demanding fees above pre-pandemic rates would be sanctioned. The charity Save the Children said students would struggle to adapt after falling far behind and warned there would be high dropout rates in the coming weeks without urgent intervention to support learners. UNICEF and child's rights groups have also criticized Uganda for the long closure of schools for 83 weeks, longer than anywhere else in the world. Mr. Bosco, a school teacher in Kampala, said they are expecting a low turn-up rate due to some children saying that they are not coming back because they are tired of studying and are doing other things. Parents have also been complaining that they have no money because they have been unable to work during the lockdown, Mr. Bosco added. An official for SOS Children's Villages has said that many young girls have now been married off by their families or are pregnant, while other students have been forced to go to work to support their families. The rush to return children to school clogged traffic in the capital, Kampala. Uganda has recorded over 153,000 cases since the pandemic began and nearly 3,400 deaths, according to the latest government figures. However, as in many African countries, it is likely that the number of cases in Uganda has been highly underreported. It remains to be seen whether there is an improvement in school return rates in the weeks and months ahead. Reporting for QTV News, this is Annabelle Gay.
Looking forward to how students will be able to cope after 2 years. Now let's take a look at what is happening in the world of sports as the Scorpions of the Gambia are set to play their first ever game at the AFCON on Wednesday against fellow West African counterparts, Mauritania. Ahead of the game, QTV Zainab Haidara visited Westville to seek the opinion and predictions of the people.
As the Gambia players get ready to create history for their country by taking part in their maiden African Cup of Nations tournament, the Gambian public are full of expectation. Talking to Gambians around town about the outcome of the first game against Mauritania, many are optimistic of a positive result. Amadi Jallo, a photographer, expresses how happy he is as a Gambian seeing his country take part in such a continental tournament.
National team, comme nekul comme club side, player bi dafa joge fi ngeen dajé ngeen bolo xam nga xoli neka bena soy player sa deka ni nga wara play yale sa deka sa mo wara gëna comme ni nga play yale sa club si man because sa deka la sa family fo la neka sa parents sa rakay sa magi sa everything dal so gisé club bi bugala gis la be bugala because of sa deka la so soy player sa deka you have to do everything possible pour nga mëna win sa deka trophy ñun luñ bëgg moy the first time in history team them African Cup of Nations for the first time we win African Cup of Nations.
Lamin Jallo, Modou Sarr and Sang Mendy, Gambian young men who also gave us their predictions.
We are going to win this game. This is our first game and it's a must-win game. All Gambians are confident we will win. We will win. And I am sure we'll win by 2-0.
We Gambians, we always keep praying for our team, Scorpion, and hopefully, inshallah, we will be going to win like 1-0 for sure, inshallah.
Babukar Mbai, a taxi driver, spoke of the importance of us as Gambians supporting our boys to win this game.
I am praying we win tomorrow's game, at least by 2-0. And I believe this is possible, looking at the quality in the team. Almost all the players are playing abroad. I hope all Gambians will be supporting the team tomorrow.
Many are looking forward to a great performance from the Scorpions, and even though this is the Gambia's first appearance in the AFCON tournament, and we are playing against nations that are more experienced than us, there is great enthusiasm and confidence that our team will get off to a great start. For QTV News, I am Zainab Haidara.
I am looking forward to the game, looking forward to the 1-0 or 2-0. Now, before we end this news bulletin, let's take a look at our main headlines. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, International Cooperation and Gambians Abroad has issued a statement that 11 Gambians, including 6 children, have died in the fire that broke out in the Bronx, New York on Sunday. And the construction of the roads ahead of the 2022 OIC Summit will soon commence, according to the project contractors. And the Gambia Teachers Union on Tuesday updated the public of the findings on the implications of the new pay and grading structure on teachers and education sector personnel. A Gambian writer, Momodu Lamin Age Amusaf Sow, on Friday launched his first book titled Don't Judge the Book by the Cover. In business news, a 24-year-old young entrepreneur has advised young people to learn skill whether they're educated or not. And in international news, Uganda ended the world's longest COVID-19 enforced school closure on Monday, ordering millions of students back to the classroom nearly 2 years after learning was suspended. And in sports news, we heard from Scorpion fans as the Gambia are set to play their first ever game at the AFCON on Wednesday against Mauritania. Well, that is all we have for you in this edition of QTV Midday News. Do join us at 8 p.m. for more news. Thanks for watching and have a great day.